Saturday is Hambletonian Day at the Meadowlands with a 12 o'clock noon post time. And I'm joined by Matt Rose to talk about the Hambletonian for $1 million and the $600,000 Hambletonian Oaks. We're going to jump right into it so we can do more handicapping than sitting here introducing. And we have the Hambletonian Oaks field coming up on the screen here. It's a 12-horse field, 600,000. There were no eliminations for this race, and the morning line favorite is not on your screen yet, but will be soon. It's number 12, Hypnotic AM.
Yeah, interesting that there were no eliminations, so we just go one dash for the cash, so to speak. A big, bulky 12-horse field going a mile with, like you mentioned, the Hypnotic AM, the morning line and likely and deserving favorite, stuck in the second tier, which is certainly makes for an interesting twist in this race. However, we've seen he's deserving of favoritism. We've seen the versatility from this filly trotter, and when all's said and done, the smoke clears. I don't think the second tier post is going to be that much of a problem.
We should take a look at Hypnotic AM winning last week. It was a 3-year-old filly open. Obviously, only about 15,000 on the line. This week, they're going for 600,000. And we're going to take a look at this video. And she kind of just coasted to the lead. Nobody bothered her. And she was just home free here. Brian Sears just kind of just sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much you can gauge watching this, quote, prep race for $15,000. But Brian Sears had the far outside post in this race. And, there were questions about how hard he was going to use the horse or how hard he had to use her. And it turns out, he didn't have to use her hard at all. Just kind of floated out, grabbed the front, rated the pace, and did what she was supposed to do, which was win quite easily at pretty decent even money odds. Maybe some people were a little hesitant about pulling the trigger in a prep race from an outside post, but perfect prep. She did what she had to do. And leading into this race, obviously it's not going to be nearly as easy. With a lot of serious contenders, including a few that we did not see in last week's prep race, namely Sorella, another top filly. But listen, when all's said and done, I've seen enough from Hypnotic AM, flawless gaits, versatility, on or off the pace. We've seen Brian Sears being kind of like a master with the second tier starting assignments. So I don't see. I have no problem second tier or tough trip or whatever. I see Hypnotic AM getting the job done.
Listen, I think she might be the best horse in the race, but I just don't see taking her as the favorite in this race. And she's the morning line favorite. I assume she's going to go off the favorite despite post 12. So that's why I started looking elsewhere. Something I did take away from the elim, and really not really how impressive Hypnotic AM may or may not have been, because she kind of went to the lead and did her own thing, was more that the 4 May Baby could handle these types of horses, went first over, held her own. And the 3 Reba Blue Chip, if you go back and watch that video, you can rewind us later on. Kind of angled off the cones late, had to wait for room, found it, and was clearly, had something left in the tank there. Maybe both of these horses are horses that can go with this kind, and I think we learned that a little. That being said, that's not the way I went as far as my top pick in here. I went with the 7 Sorella. I think we saw a couple of starts back in the I believe it was the Reynolds, what she can do. I mean, she went 150 change. That race was without shoes. She's going to be racing barefoot once again here. I've been led to believe she's a little bit faster, and what she showed on the track, she's a little bit faster when she doesn't have shoes on. I think this is the absolute perfect post for this horse. Giwner can gun to the front, and he can control this race, especially with Hypnotic AM and a really talented Pan Am stuck in the second tier. Pan Am might have been my pick in this race, but I just don't see how she's going to navigate that tough post 11.
Yeah, I have her on my ticket third with Hypnotic AM and Sorella second. I do agree with you that Yannick Gingras having his horse's nose on the gate gives him obviously a big tactical advantage, because he can cross over, clear the lead early on, and perhaps stay clear of any potential traffic issues. I mean, we saw Sorella just be awesome in a few starts. Kind of hit a bump in the road when a short price in the Del Miller. Maybe not a preferred trip when she was stuck first up, grinded but couldn't couldn't really sustain. But I don't see that same type of trip happening here. I'm just hopeful that Sears can be probably never see the rail or the pylons at any point during the race, pick up some sort of cover early on, and you know what? If Sorella doesn't get away that easy, and there is some early or mid-race pressure, like I said, I see Hypnotic AM being talented enough to be able to power by late. Pan Am, obviously, another second-tier issue, but we've seen good things from that one. And I agree with you with the 3 Reba Blue Chip Verlin Yoder and the 4 May Baby James Yoder, 2 maybe lesser-known names on the East Coast. Well, Verlin Yoder certainly made a name for himself. Both of those horses look absolutely legit, and they'll both be good prices. And if I'm looking underneath in superfectas and trifectas, I'm definitely including them. Is there anyone else maybe that you have like it's a sneaky or something like that could slide into the number? Because, again, I'm looking at Hypnotic AM, you're looking at Sorella. We're not looking at tons of value there. So aside from the 3 and the 4, Reba Blue Chip and May Baby, anyone else you can consider?
Those are mainly the 2 I'm looking at underneath. I mean, you have 3 horses. It's worth noting that there's no Lasix allowed in this race. You have 3 horses, the 1 Crucial, the 2 Next Level Stuff, and the 5 Tricky Sister, who are all coming off Lasix. Personally, I'm avoiding those horses coming off Lasix. That doesn't mean they can't race well. We saw in the Hambletonian elimination, I think it was Sister Sledge came off Lasix. She didn't have a lot left at the end of the mile. It seems to affect them in those last few steps. So they might be horses I would consider using, for third or something like that. But I'm avoiding those horses. Who's Blues showed speed a couple starts back and raced really big, 3 starts back at Philadelphia. I don't know. I need to see a little bit more, though. I respect the trainer who plays. Maybe Salisbury Hill. I mean, looked really good 2 starts back in the Pennsylvania Sire Stakes. Could be involved, but I'm really on top with Sorella as my top pick. I'm going to use the Reba Blue Chip, May Baby, and Hypnotic AM, Pan Am obviously have shots if they can navigate the tough post positions. Let's move on to the Hambletonian. It's race number 11 on the card. $1 million is on the line for the Hambletonian. We have a field of 10 lined up, and the morning line favorite in this particular race is going to be Ramona Hill, the filly.
No surprise. Philly taking on the boys. Couple fillies in here. The aforementioned Sister Sledge also out of post 9, who's disappointed in her elimination, and she'll be, if you want to stay on the bandwagon, you get a nice healthy price on her come Saturday afternoon. But listen, anyone who watched those eliminations, I'm sure we're going to see a clip of both eliminations from last week. You'll see Ramona Hill entering your picture right now on the far outside. Andrew McCarthy, which is stalled with awful cover. And although there are a couple of anxious moments when you see her gait, how she doesn't look that fluid or smooth, what just a breathtaking rally in sub 26 to come home and nail a nice horse in his own right in back of the neck. If you don't think she's going to bounce off that effort, is it possible to go against her?
Listen, I have a couple of things. One, I asked Andrew McCarthy about the gait, and he actually told me she must look worse than she feels. He felt like the ride was pretty good, and so maybe that's the case. I'm of the opinion that Andrew McCarthy's going to the front here. There's no coming from behind in this race. He might let a horse from the outside, leave around them, but I think ultimately he's looking to be on that lead sometime, around the quarter, maybe just past, and he's going to dictate the action here, and he's not letting anyone go. I think he thinks he has the best horse, and I don't think he's taking any chances, in the $1 million Hambletonian here, which, makes it interesting. Basically, she's probably going to be about even money. I mean, that's what I'm getting at. And do you see her winning 50 out of 100 times in this race? I don't know that I do.
I mean, obviously, when you're trying to factor in odds probables and what's a fair price, you can say, yeah, even money. Is she going to win? If you run this race 100 times, is she going to win 50 of those times? That's a good question. I would say no. She is my top pick, but I'm in agreement that maybe even money isn't the best way to go. Obviously, you do have some other major talent in here, especially inside of her with the one Ready for Money, the Nancy Tactor trainee who won the other second elimination, Back of the Neck, who was run over by Ramona Hill. Big Oil directly inside of Ramona Hill, who's almost definitely going to be leaving the gate hard. I can see your point of McCarthy wanting to make a power move or taking matters into his own hands early on. Clearly, he'll get the respect, I imagine, being released to the front. Who do you think is going to be on the lead that's going to be releasing her if your scenario plays out? Is it going to be Yannick with Ready for Money? Is it going to be Scott Zeron who might be moving early with the Back of the Neck? Is there somebody outside of Ramona Hill that might take a shot? Sister Sledge maybe, leaving 100 miles an hour? It makes for a lot of interesting scenarios, obviously.
Oh, there's no doubt a lot of interesting scenarios. First, let's take a look at the second elimination with Ready for Money's win in the Hambo Elim. And you see him on the lead here. He's kind of cruising along. He has it safely home. 352, who's the 6 in the final. The 5 on your screen is coming home pretty well late. Showed speed early and late in the mile. I mean, was he ever getting to Ready for Money? No, probably not. Maybe if they go 1 mile and 3/4 or something like that, he would have gotten there. But really, that's really the question here. What does Yannick do? Is Yannick going to gun out and try to protect everything he can from the rail and make everyone go in behind him? Because Big Oil's leaving. I'd be surprised if 352 doesn't leave. Dubé is obviously known as an early speed driver. He's on a horse that clearly has early speed. What does Yannick do? And I don't know that he's gunning out of there in 26 to try and protect position. So I think he's got to let him go. Ramona Hill moves to the front, and then Yannick's sitting first over, which he's probably going to be second choice here. Maybe he's 2-1, 5-2, whatever, somewhere in that range. And when I look at this field, I see it as I'm looking for the horse that's going to pick up the right trip at the right price. And for me, I really think that could be Back of the Neck. I think Ready for Money is going to be in a bad spot where he's going to end up being first over. Unless, because I don't see Ramona Hill letting anyone go. So if Ready for Money's first over, I think Back of the Neck's going to be second over, in my opinion. Yeah, he stopped on the lead in 2 of his last 4 starts. But if you look at that, he maybe just got lonely on the lead. Maybe this is a horse that he gets the front and, he kind of stops a little bit. Maybe he needs to be off cover because the 2 starts off cover were spectacular. Really strong efforts where he charged home. The price is going to be right, maybe about 5-1. And that's why I landed with Back of the Neck, even though I think that Ramona Hill's probably the fastest and maybe the best horse in the race.
Well, I think stopped on the lead is maybe a little too strong of a statement. It's certainly they were not bad efforts at all. They're just efforts where he got caught, and we saw him get caught last week by Ramona Hill. But as you said, the 2 prior efforts were just sterling off the pace rallies, including 1-2 back in the Reynolds stake where he wasn't even on the screen and he just exploded home to sweep the field. If you're of the mindset that Ramona Hill is going to go to the lead and take control, we have other speed types in there, namely Big Oil, 352 with the Luke Blazebarn looking to go back to back, pick up Dan Dubé as Scott Zeron goes to your pick, Back of the Neck. Sister Sledge should probably be forwardly placed. These horses might clear off early, and if Ramona Hill comes and makes his move and secures command, like you said, where does that leave Ready for Money and Back of the Neck? First over, second over? It's possible. If that's the case, I can certainly make a case for your horse. Like I said, I'm going to assume that Ramona Hill, he's not going to bounce off last week. She's not going to bounce off last week's effort. She'll have her mind on business, be straight and narrow with her interesting gait, but fluid gait nonetheless. And if I can get anything north of even money, I will be using her on top. With the logicals underneath, specifically 352, who I really did like that effort with good speed on both ends, maybe to get some value in there. But Ramona Hill on top for me. I see another filly getting it done in the Hambletonian.
Well, so look at the $1 million Hambletonian. It's race 11 on a 16-race card filled with stakes action at the Meadowlands. We have free harness IPPs up on the website, drf.com/harness. We also have a special DRF bets offer this week 5% rebate on all exotic wagers at the Meadowlands on Saturday. So you want to take advantage of that. Also have a nice sign-up bonus offer there. So noon Saturday, be there, Hambletonian Day at the Meadowlands. Good luck.